Well, before we wrap it up, we've taken you through virtually everything. We've taken you through the world of politics, sports, business, and time now for us to wrap it up. But not before we take you through our interview of the day, because tonight we just want to discuss matters, technology in the housing industry. It's a big thing. The government is talking about building about 1 million units by the year 2027, and this is hinged on technology. And tonight, it will take you about 21 days to construct a 3-bedroomed house if you use insulated concrete from block technology. In addition, the technology will save you about 30% in cost when compared to building using conventional brick and mortar. Our reporter Alan Aoko had a candid discussion with on-site ICF East Africa Regional Director Kennedy Munyendo about how adoption of technology could help address the housing gap. And this is how the conversation went.
It's not a hidden secret that the country is undergoing a deficit of housing. Even as the government looks to fill this gap with a few milestones, we're looking at 200,000 units annually for 5 years to see if we can bridge that 2 million gap at this point. But what are some of the solutions that you can deploy to accelerate adoption and also have social impact on the ground in the lives of people who are owning these houses? To speak about this and more, we have a guest today. We have Kennedy Munyendo, correct?
Yes.
Who is the Regional Director for East Africa at On-Site ICF. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for
Maybe you can begin by telling us what this problem is and how you, from where you sit as a company, even as an individual, because we're also going to talk about social impact, how are we addressing this issue of affordable housing?
I think housing is a big challenge in Kenya and across the continent. It's a worldwide challenge. And so many people do not have houses. Like you've correctly put it, we have a shortage of more than 250 units. Combined government and private sector, we're only doing about 50,000 units a year. So we still have a deficit of 200,000 units that we need to build. If we put this into perspective, you look at the urban areas, you will realize that about 61% of the people living within the urban areas are living in slums. So you can imagine that percentage. Where do these people really live? In what conditions do these people really live? So that's what we are looking at. The challenge is very huge. And if you see the peri-urban and the rural areas often left out in this equation. If you look at the developments that are happening, they're happening in the cities. And these areas are not considered or not thought of most of the time. So that is the biggest challenge that we have. What we believe in as on-site ICF is that housing is a very key element in our society, and we have to make sure that each and every one of us lives in decent housing. So as on-site, we are putting our technology into use. So on-site ICF, we have the ICF system, which is a foam block made from polythene raw materials that we're using for wall construction. And this generally brings about cost savings, not only on the walls, but in the entire structure. So what we're doing with this is to use our technology to reduce the cost of construction, to make housing accessible to as many people as possible.
And that is something very interesting you bring about, because you find that this kind of technologies, integration into current construction techniques is not very common. We have to admit that we even had to change our building codes to accommodate some of these new technologies. We've had the new building code 2024 being launched in the country, and we are seeing some affordable housing projects also trying to integrate this kind of technologies. How then, from where you sit, can we accelerate adoption using even your kind of technology through the new building code? Is the implementation moving with par with the demand that we have in the country at this time?
I think I'm glad you brought that up, because the building code and the policies around construction have not been reviewed for a very long time, and we are glad that this was done in 2024. I believe it's supposed to be taking effect this March of 2025. This is a good step. It's a good step towards incorporating new technologies into our construction system. It's a good step toward making sure that we are building quality, durable structures. We are accommodating even people with disabilities in our structures, in the buildings that we build. So the building code, yes, it has been enacted, and we hope and believe that there is going to be enough sensitization, and this building code allows or creates opportunity for the new technologies to be adopted. What has happened in the past is that people have stuck to the old ways of building. We only know about brick and mortar. If it's not stone brick, then it's not a structure, it's not a building. But there are better ways of doing this, and the times have changed. Better things have come, new technology has come, and we need to put this into practice to be able to achieve our goal. They normally say if you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, then you're lying to yourself. If we keep doing the same thing that we are doing today, we might never achieve the goal that we are looking to achieve with affordable housing. So recently, I think towards the end of 2024, I saw Borax together with Public Works announce that they're starting the process of reviewing new technologies so that they can adopt this into the building code and put this into practice. On-site ICF runs a robust system. This is a system that reduces significantly the cost of construction. This is a system that improves the space we live in. From thermal insulation, sound insulation, pest resistance, and water resistance. These are some of the benefits you get with the ICF system. We call it the Bora block because it makes your house better, and that is what we are doing with our system. So yes, the building code has come at a good time, and we hope and believe that there is going to be enough sensitization. We hope and believe that a lot of implementing agencies have seen a couple of trainings going on with NCA where they're trying to sensitize people about their building code. And we as an organization, and I would urge other private organizations as well to jump into this and sensitize people as much as possible, especially for those who are offering alternative technology for construction.
And perhaps for the benefit of our viewers, they're hearing about ICF technology, they've heard about other technologies, they've heard about prefab materials used in housing, but what is the difference between what you're talking about and the rest? And I know they'll be very happy to understand what do you mean, and how fast can I build my house with this technology? What is different with the normal brick and mortar? Maybe give us a few details about this building technology you are talking about.
So the on-site system, ICF, is basically concrete, insulated concrete form block. So the insulated concrete form block is made out of polyethylene raw materials. So this is a byproduct of a process. So the process of processing oil results into raw materials that we currently use for block making. So the ICF, these chemicals, raw materials are put into a molding system. Then the molding heats, and when it forms up, then it takes the shape of the mold. And in our system, we have different shapes. We have 100 millimeter by 1 meter, we have 150 millimeter by 1 meter, and then we have 200 millimeter by 1 meter. When we talk about the 200 millimeter, that is the thickness of the wall. 100 millimeter in 150. So these blocks are stuck together like a Lego. So in about 10 to 12 minutes, you're able to make a block, and you're running a number of molds at the same time. So a capacity of one mold can run about 800 blocks in 24 hours. And these are blocks that are ready to use. So as soon as they come out of the machine, you can use them for construction. So they will not undergo the curing process that your normal concrete or prefab would go through before you use it. So this is something that comes from the machine, and you can use it immediately. The beauty about this is that the building process with this system is very easy. You're familiar with the Lego, right? How the Lego goes together, one on top of each other, and interlocks. So you don't need even mortar in between. So it just interlocks on its own. And then we use what we call pole and beam structure, where the hollow section of the block, we put in rebar, steel rebar, and then we put in concrete where there is steel rebar. So this can be spaced depending on the kind of structure, what we are designing, what kind of building we are working with. And as on-site ICF, we have a design and build system where we design from layouts to structural designs, and we go straight into construction. So we provide a turnkey solution where at the end of the day, you just come in, tell us what you need, we design it for you, and we hand you over the key to the structure. The difference between this with the other system, one is how we make the block, which is a faster and efficient way of making the block, eliminating transportation of stones from quarries to sites. And we know these days quarries are very scarce, and we have to transport stones long distances. So this eliminates the whole process. The other aspect is that they are very light. So when you're building with this, then that means when you're designing your foundation, you're designing a less heavier foundation. So that results into cost savings in the foundation. You're saving cost on your reinforcement, you're saving cost on your concrete, and then when you come to the walling aspect, the speed in which you put together your wall, again, you're using probably half the labor, twice the speed, and you achieve higher quality structure at the end of the day. We will do plaster as normal, we will do our window fittings as normal, our internal fittings as normal, but at the end of the day, you're getting a superior product. If you look at concrete, I know many people say, oh, the weather in Kenya is good, we don't need, but the weather is only good, for example, if you go to Mombasa for a vacation, that weather is really good. But someone who lives in the coast, every single day, those people run a lot of fun, those people run a lot of ACs, yeah, and this is because of the heat in that area. The same with the northeastern area, the lake region, it's hot, and you need a product like this to ensure that you have a conducive environment. How big that difference is. So from experience, we save about 20 to 30%. In other areas, we would save even more, depending on the location, depending on soil conditions. There are a few other variables that we would look at. But generally, at 20 to 30% is a significant saving in a construction.
And of course, in business, that saving, is it still able to cater for your needs as a company and get returns and make everyone happy, as well as the labor force and everything else, supply chain and everyone else?
So the beauty of working with on-site ICF is that we don't keep all that saving. That saving, we transfer it to the consumer, we transfer it to our customer. So that saving will actually be the builder's saving. The person who is owning the house is the one who is going to realize this saving. By the time we are saving you 20 to 30%, we've actually put in our margin. And as a social enterprise, we just look to operate and be able to scale and be able to deliver as many houses as possible. So we've already considered our margins in that particular building, but we're still saving you a lot more.
You are making a business case for innovators in this space. You've talked about how innovation in this space can help in bridging the housing gap. You've talked about how interoperable the system is, the technology is with the new building codes. You've talked about how different technologies, and especially even yours, is increasing the rate of uptake. Yes. Perhaps maybe since we are not in isolation, talk to us about how are you getting these materials? Is it locally sourced? And if not, what are some of those implications that probably even if it's legislation you'd like to see eased or made easier for you to get materials into the country to make this a reality for people on the ground?
So part of this is imported as raw material. Then we do the production locally. The beauty about this again is that we can make blocks on site. So we have our office and workshop at Samia Africa in Nairobi. We have another office in Kisumu, and we've recently incorporated in Uganda. So generally what we use as raw material is imported, and once we import that, then we fabricate and make our blocks locally, and we can do this on site. In terms of policy and regulations, I think recently in the last 1 year there has been introduction of some levies on these raw materials. There's some that were zero rated, went to 10%, and this I think affects everyone else who is importing in one way or the other. There's some levies that were introduced that would affect that, and if this would come down, if the levies would be reduced or zero rated, then this would significantly reduce the cost of construction. And this is in many materials that are being imported for construction. We know that, yes, we want to consume locally, we want to manufacture locally, but not everything else can be manufactured or consumed locally. There's some elements of the construction, there's some elements in the construction industry that must be imported. So in that case, if there are any benefit tax reliefs that can be accorded to this, then it would generally help reduce cost of construction. There are people who are doing different things, steel, cabinetries, other elements of a house that have to be imported, or raw materials have to be imported.
So what I'm hearing here is that we could do better when it comes to making it easier for innovators to bring in material and, make affordable housing even more affordable. Perhaps maybe you could talk to us even as we look at how levies and taxes affect this kind of business model. What kind of partnerships do you leverage as innovators in this space? Do you leverage on to make sure that you also still get the equity you deserve on the ground and have that social impact, but still build quality, durable houses on the ground? Which partnerships are you leveraging on? Which ones do you have now? Which ones are you looking at in the near future, maybe 4 or 5 years? Talk to us about that.
Okay. I think in terms of delivering quality house, we have to make sure that we are not compromising on the products we are using. As much as we are saying alternative material would be good to reduce the cost of construction, we have to be very keen and make sure that we're not compromising on the materials that we're using. That would be the first step. The other thing is that the cost reduction in construction is not necessarily using one item or just changing the material you're using. It includes a lot of things. One is the alternative materials, and in this case, I would highly recommend the use of on-site ICF's border block, which is a very good solution for this. We are now introducing fiberglass rebar to replace your normal rebar. It has been shown that the fiberglass rebar is 30% cheaper. It's stronger in terms of compression strength, and it can highly reduce the cost of construction compared to steel rebar. We are looking at partnerships, like you're saying, in construction. And we all know that if you buy in bulk, if you have specialized pricing for materials, then you're able to reduce significantly the cost of a house. In our case, as on-site, we've gone into different partnerships. We have partnerships with paint companies. We have partnership with cement suppliers. We have partnership with steel suppliers. So in that case, then we have some sort of regulation in terms of the prices we get for the material that we use. The other aspect is efficiency in implementation. You have to properly plan, you have to properly execute, you have to make sure that each and every aspect of that structure is well thought before you go into implementation. So these are small things that many times we assume, but at the end of the day, this leads into cost reduction, and this is what will make your house affordable.
it's very interesting. You talk about these partnerships and the whole ecosystem, but you are in a very competitive space. We've seen some of your competitors doing 3D houses on site. We've seen some of them build sustainable housing using raw materials such as just timber, and they make a complete, even two-story house with timber and everything. How are people like yourselves leveraging on this kind of competitive edge, to, drive growth and interest? Because many Kenyans, even viewers, will tell you that how do we even get these people? Where are they? The one we know is the mainstream one, which is brick and mortar, but the innovators are quiet in the back. Why? Why are you not talking about this new technology going forward?
I'm glad that you brought up, and it's good that we are here now, because this is one way of communicating what we are doing and what we are looking to do in future. I will tell you that one, we have got partnerships with different organizations. We work with NGOs for social housing. We work with funders. We work with grant funders, and we also work with individuals in terms of house delivery. We have done training in different capacities for contractors, for skilled labor, and people within that space. We recently did our inaugural IIX Insights Exchange Forum, where industry players came together, and some of these are technology industry players, people who were introducing new technology in construction. And this is where we discuss, we brainstorm, and we believe that this will open up as we go into the next IIX Forum, and this will incorporate more and more people. So we have NGOs, we have social enterprises, we have limited companies who are playing within this space. So that is another aspect. We have participated in different exhibitions and shows, the AAK Forum, we have participated in the Big Five, we have participated in Kenya Homes Expo, and these are some of the forums where we meet with our customers, we discuss with them. But then we are also available for any discussion around affordable housing, any discussion around technology, any discussion around reducing the gap in the housing shortage. Of importance for us is the impact aspect of it, and what we are looking at is playing within the impact space. So you're asking how are we competing with the other people? I think as it is today, you cannot point out and say this is the affordable housing leader in the industry. You cannot point out and say that this is the person who is leading in social housing. You cannot point out and say this is the person who built the most school. As it is, probably, I don't know the statistic on that, but I would say we built a lot of schools. And this is where we need this. So our system works across board. We can build for social enterprise, we can build for commercial spaces, we can build for schools, and we can build for individuals. If you want a social house, our system is the best for that.
Wow. On-site ICF East Africa Regional Director, Kennedy Munyendo. Thank you very much for speaking to us and making time for us to speak about technology in housing. Now there's no excuse, and you know that the technology is there, not only brick and mortar. You can be innovative, make your own house in the rural area or in the city using sustainable materials. That's it from us for this time. Goodbye for now.